This next session is called Seizing the Opportunity of the Cloud. And let me welcome our UFC fighter and my boss, our CEO, Steve Ballmer. Please give him a warm welcome.
Well, thanks. I have to admit, that last session just fired me up. No, just the genius of it, I had to love. The inspiration, the excitement. The whole day's been pretty good, but I got to admit, I did get a little fired up. It's just even some of the words which you're not really allowed to use when you've been in business a little longer were really gratifying for me to hear, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to follow up on that. In a sense of the juxtaposition of let me just say, Dana talking about his business and Evan having a chance to talk about vision and the need for kind of inspiration and vision in product kind of leads me to the things I actually do want to talk about today. I generally try to hit a little bit of a balance, talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of technology, and a little bit, frankly, about kind of how we think about our company and what we're trying to do in the world of technology, and hopefully a little bit of discussion of the company always prompts some thoughts that might be useful to others. As we have gone through the day, you know, it's been fascinating, whether it's been in the breakout sessions, in the main tent. The dialogue is really not about the things that most people think CEOs sit and think about all the time. You know, return on equity, blah, 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 short-term share price. To a person, the discussion is focused in on how do you get your product right, how do you take care of your customers. It's focused in on being patient. I went to this shareholder breakout session and everything, kind of how do you be patient? Jeff Bezos, how do you be patient? How do you think these things through? And in a sense, you know, it's consistent with the reflections I think we have about Microsoft and what we in our industry are trying to do. At the end of the day, there's almost no short-term metric that people take a look at that's really very valuable to ask you, how healthy is a technology company? What are you trying to do? How are you trying to shape the world? What really matters? You know, when I sit and reflect on kind of where we are and what we try to do, and to me, it's a lot about talking to employees. Employees are probably, at least I think in all of our case, they're the number one constituency that really cares how the company's doing, even more than customers and even more than shareholders. And when we talk to our employees about are we in good shape, it really comes down to 5 things. 5 things really, really matter. Number one, are we getting the best talent? How's the talent pool? How are we doing? Do people want to come work here? Every year now at our sales meeting, the number one market share statistic I go through is our win-loss rate for college recruits against what you might consider the obvious cast of characters who would be competing with us on college campuses. How are we doing? The answer, by the way, is we have a disproportionately high market share. All fair, all right. But, you know, we win 70, 75, 80% of the time when we go up against, you know, even the best technology companies in terms of college recruiting. Particularly as you deal with some of the issues which a number of companies in the room deal with in terms of the law of large numbers. You're also trying to recruit new senior talent that can really help you drive and push into new areas. Sometimes John talked a little bit about acquisition. It comes through acquisition. But in our business, a lot of what you need to do to acquire talent is really to go out and acquire it. Evan was talking about how do you got to have inspiration. You can't just take a bunch of people who don't know an area, say, ho, 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 good luck. We haven't been in the video game business. We're going to take a bunch of sort of engineers with no passion, with no vision, with no inspiration, and say, go build video games. In our own case, that was a major investment that we would have made starting about 99, 2000. We dug a fantastically large hole by investors' standards of about $6-7 billion. And ever since then, you know, Thanks to Dana, I guess I have fight song in the brain. But we've been marching forward. But it took people with inspiration. Search. You know, we've done a lot of work in that area, but we've also been out getting the talent, people who have a point of view. How do we reform? How do we change? What's going to really be different about tomorrow that's different than today? And I know talent's on everybody's mind, but it's a health factor, effectively. Balanced investment, particularly with the economy going loop-de-loop. I don't know where it's going. After this morning's panel, my worst fears were confirmed, but nonetheless, wherever the economy is going to go, the need to kind of think in a balanced way about investment, particularly in a tech company, is hugely important. We spend about $9.5 billion on R&D. I think Kevin said that earlier. There's absolutely no way to assess payback on the bulk of that in under about 3 years. Should we be doing a lot more? Should we be doing less? You know, you go to see your analyst. Your favorite analyst always has a point of view on exactly what the model should be and blah, 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 blah. And the truth is, it's about balance. We have a particular problem in China in our business, which is piracy is sky high. We would earn about 20 times, no, that's not right, 15 times as much money per PC purchased in the U.S. as we would China. So it tells you got quite a piracy. Even India would be about 4 times better than China. So I go kind of gently try to educate government officials about this around the world, blah, 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 blah. And they say, well, it's all about your shareholders. It's not about your shareholders. If we had the additional 6, 10 billion of revenue, would we deploy more risk capital? Would we put even more money into R&D? And the answer is, of course, yes. But making the balanced investment, particularly when things get tough, when a lot of what you're investing in has no immediate term, even evaluation metric, let alone return. I mean, is this R&D project really going to matter? How do you judge that? Answer: by the sales it generates in about 5 years. And so, you know, but being smart, being balanced, thinking about those things, and being able to defend to your employees, your shareholders, whoever, hey, I'm really investing enough. And sometimes, I think more often than not, we wind up defending all of us. Are we investing too much, in fact, in our futures? Now, how much patience are you supposed to show? Patience is a virtue here. You keep investing. You just invest. You get it right. If you don't get it right, you dust yourself up. You get kind of a new cast of characters if you need to, new talent, and you keep coming to find the unique inspiration. And I think there was a theme around patience. And yet at the same time, if you stop and think about it, you don't want patience ever to be an excuse for lack of performance. There are things you'll actually do that are just flat out bad. We've done some of those. And at some point, you've got to be willing to adjust also accordingly. This is one we spent a lot of time on. I think, I don't know, it was today or maybe somebody I was talking to, I think it was Jeff maybe last night. Somebody said, what are the worst mistakes you've made, as it has, you know, bets? And I guess it was Jeff this morning said, it's the bets you don't make. Turns out that by far, at least in our business, by far, the most important thing that you have to decide is what to do. Every 3 years, we have to rebirth ourselves. Every product, every 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's going to be. And so really picking the right areas, whether it's to be in new product categories, new lines of business, taking a new approach. Oh, man, every good thing we did generally started with getting it right on the front end, picking the right things to invest in. And every mistake usually is because we picked a business that just wasn't worth investing in, as opposed to simply mis-executing. Product flow. Now, I'm going to talk a lot more about product flow, but in terms of people ask, how do you innovate consistently? It turns out one of the things I think I have most come to appreciate over the last 2-3 years is that, in fact, there's an aspect of R&D and innovation that's just an execution game. That if you have smart people, they'll